Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
So summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Eddie Frederick, where good values make great radio.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Oh, wonderful, folks. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It is such a plum-pleasing pleasure to be here with you once more. You know, we just have to do this. And as God would know, I love what I do. Doesn't it show? Folks, we are here today. This is a what? Thanksgiving weekend. So I would say welcome to EDDIE-FICATION 290. Now, you're going to find today's program exceedingly instructive. We are proceeding to navigate the oftentimes turbulent waters of life in a world that is in total turmoil. Small developing states like ours hardly stand a chance against the larger and less caring nations. If we are to focus on real growth as a collective, each citizen will have to change his or her perspectives. For the same thinking that we had while getting into the situation we find ourselves today will definitely not be the same thinking to get us out. As a nation, we have to look inward at becoming more reliant on ourselves by tapping into our various talents. Forget about all the various ideologies and the various, levels of greed that we're seeing being espoused by individuals claiming to want to lead you. You better become individually reliant, because what's coming is not going to pass you and is not going to spare you. We have to be focused and remain focused in order to sidestep the various distractions on offer. Our topic today, folks, admonishes each and every one of us to be aware that everything we do comes from a place of growth when we move with purpose. We have to move with purpose. As soon as you enter the room today, folks, remember to share, comment, like, love, follow, subscribe, interact, man, do whatever you must, so that we can feel the inspiration and motivation needed to get up and get. Today yesterday marked the 42nd anniversary of the American-led military intervention that helped to return Grenada to elective politics after the bloody crash of the People's Revolution back on October 19th, 1983. Last week, I shared a chronicle of events that led up to that brutal day when the revolutionary Prime Minister Maurice Bishop and several of his cabinet colleagues were executed at Fort George, then referred to as Fort Rupert. Today, I want to share with you Chapter 11 of my yet unpublished history of Grenada, titled, "This is My Island." And it really can be continuing under the caption, "The Collapse of the Revolution." Folks, hit that share button. Let's get some more people in, because people complain they don't know the history of Grenada. But yet for all, if it's some commonness, some dunderhead, some stupidness, you're seeing all of them crowding to pollute their minds with nonsense while they continue to not know the history. So come on, let's wake up some people today. Folks, the U.S. military intervention, which happened 6 days after those horrific events of the execution, of course, of the Prime Minister, several of his cabinet colleagues, and even some locals, many locals, who just went, as we say, with their fastness and ended up dead. The main superpower of this hemisphere, and probably touted as the only one in the world today, the United States of America, together with combined Caribbean forces, intervened militarily. Folks, it wasn't easy. I could tell you that much. No shame in the game. I spent most of that time under the bed back then because you never thought you could really and truly live to see or hear all these different types of artillery. Grenada gained a reputation for being the tiny island in the Caribbean which shook the world. Many locals wished there was never an October 1983, and others wished nobody remembers 1983. But what we could say is, whatever anyone may think of the year 1983, it cannot be denied that it was actually a year of action and suspense, which climaxed in total horror. Total horror. On October 20th, the day after the execution of Prime Minister Maurice Bishop and some of his cabinet colleagues, together with the massacre of course, many innocent Grenadians, Caribbean leaders voiced their outrage on behalf of all of the peoples of the region. Jamaica broke off diplomatic relations with Grenada. Trinidad imposed economic sanctions, slapped visa restrictions on any Grenadian wishing to travel to the Twin Island Republic. On October 21st, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, held an emergency meeting in Barbados. They agreed to remove Grenada from the OECS. President Ronald Reagan of the United States was not in the mood to jeopardize the safety and security of roughly 1,000 American citizens who were based at the Offshore Medical University in Grenada, known then as St. George's University School of Medicine. He therefore sent a naval fleet of 11 ships, 2,000 Marines off Grenada. On October 22nd, CARICOM, comprising at the time of Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Belize, the Bahamas, Antigua, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course Montserrat, held an emergency meeting in Trinidad. October 23rd, it was agreed at that particular summit that Grenada be suspended from CARICOM and that all sea and air links with Grenada be suspended. October 24th, Grenadians were freed from the 24-hour shoot-to-kill curfew, of course, curfew, as General Hudson Austin referred to it. And the few who turned out to work wore mourning clothes. Many offices remained closed, as that day was used to completely panic shop. October 25th, the United States, together with regional armed forces on the invitation of the Organization of Americans of Eastern Caribbean States, Jamaica and Barbados, intervened in Grenada's affairs under the pretext of restoring democracy to the Spice Isle. The chairperson of the OECS and Prime Minister of Dominica, Mary Eugenia Charles, and listen to this, there's a lovely little twist here, a past student of the St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's, Grenada, claimed that the military invasion was at the request of sitting Governor General then, Sir Paul Scoon. Fighting ensued and continued for a few days as the US bombed certain strategic sections of the island's capital, which were believed to be heavily armed by the Revolutionary Military Council, the RMC. The might of the United States, coupled with the confused state in which the Cubans found themselves on the island without any command from President Fidel Castro to intervene, helped to prescribe the victory the Americans enjoyed during the early days of the intervention. The unassuming capacity of the state of Grenada's fighting might caught the Americans unawares. Their arrival in Grenada with outdated tourist maps, which lacked relevant details for accuracy, proved a hindrance to the US, who suffered some casualties. 19 men were recorded as lost in the Grenada battle, and are today remembered by a monument erected on the grounds of the St. George's University in Trublo, St. George. But it is believed by many that the Americans lost more than 19 men in Grenada, since at the same time the bombing of American troops in Lebanon had taken place, and casualties from the Grenada intervention may have been thrown for convenience in that Middle East lot to save some embarrassment. Quite a number of US helicopters were brought down by local anti-aircraft firepower. Those which can be personally vouched for are as follows. And when I say personally vouched for, I'm talking about what I know about, not what I was told about. One which crash-landed on the Tantine playing field, and its occupants, who came out surrendering, were slain at the hands of the local military. Another on Grandans Beach, one near to the Calabash in Lansopine, and one which started its descent off Fort George, completing its journey near to Pandy Beach. There was another which is reported to have been brought down in Camp Calavini, now known as Egmont. Many of the members of the People's Revolutionary Army, the PRA, fled the scene of fighting when the real firepower of the US was employed, with fighter aircraft dropping guided missiles on strategic areas. It is reported that the coordinates for the precise location of Radio Free Grenada, RFG, the island's lone radio station located in the heart of the tourist belt, close to Mount Cinnamon, were given to the SS Guam, which was located way offshore. It was countdown time for RFG, whose hours were numbered. Very shortly, RFG was no more. Total silence. A search ensued to round up all members of the RMC and close aides of the Politburo Central Committee and Orel. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher of Britain added her voice in condemnation of the United States' action to militarily intervene. Thus was born the public holiday as a mark of respect for the US efforts to bring calm back to the island, ridding the region of another communist outpost to that of Cuba. Interestingly, many people consider October 19th, though bloody in its character, as the real liberation of Grenada from the fangs of Marxism and Leninism, doctrines that were too foreign and alien to our very culture here in Grenada. Grenada commemorated 25th October as Thanksgiving Day, and according to S. Brian Samuel in an editorial piece he wrote 11 years ago, it is to be regarded as probably the most uncelebrated Thanksgiving in the world. Folks, everything we do comes from a place of growth when we move with purpose. Let's take a little break and we'll come right back with a lot more.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safely and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
So summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, 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 folks. We're back again. And of course, as you rightfully know, we have a lot of onions to fry because this is a kind of historic weekend for us, one that really and truly, in observing it, we should never really be allowed to forget our history. Our history is very rich, folks. It's a history of struggle. It's a history of rancor. It's a history of, but it's so unfortunate. As someone told me this morning, you know, when you think of the direction that we are going in, that should be the concern. The direction of our people, not their level. We have to take some kind of, strong action to save our civilization. Because with dunceness being normalized, and you have this assault on a daily basis of dunceness, just, being, coming across as if it's erudition, and dunceness being brave to pollute the air. It ain't easy, folks. It ain't easy. But how does Grenada current Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell measure up in context of our topic here today? Everything we do comes from a place of growth when we move with purpose. To begin with, his story is not a secret. He's coming from abject poverty. But he is an example of how transformative education can be to the individual. So let's take a fiery, purpose-driven framework with a tolerance span that our current Prime Minister, Dickon Mitchell, can fit into. You're invited to have an open mind, folks, as we measure him not on partisan politics, but on the core tenets of purpose and growth, which is something that is foreign to a lot of people in Grenada. It is as if they're allergic to purpose and growth. So we've just laid out the law. You're either laying bricks or building a cathedral. You're either on a to-do list treadmill or you're moving with purpose that forces growth. Let's see if we could dissect that today. So now you're asking me that question about the man the petty opposition operatives call the flying prime minister, Grenada's Dickon Mitchell. But he exploded on the political scene in October 2021, leading his NDC party to a stunning upset victory mere months after being elected leader of the National Democratic Congress in 2022. Folks, but he won against the long-serving derelict of a leader. Imagine Dickon Mitchell possessed no political pedigree whatsoever, a relative outsider. So how does he measure up? Is he building a cathedral or just rearranging bricks? But let's start with this story. Imagine two people building a wall. Person A is just building a wall. He's laying brick after brick. It's hot. His back hurts. The mortar is messy to work with. Someone comes up to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing there, man?" He says, "Oh, what you finally look like? I'm laying bricks. It's your job. It's tedious. And the goddamn sun's so hot." Now person B is building the exact same wall. Same bricks, same mortar, same sun beating down. Someone asks him, "What are you doing?" He looks up with fire in his eyes and says, "I'm building a cathedral. This is going to be a place where people find peace, where communities gather, where history is made." Isn't that interesting though? Same exact action. But one is a soul-crushing chore, and the other is a sacred mission. Why? Because person B has a purpose. He has a why so powerful that it transforms the what. Most of us in Grenada today are living like person A, complaining about everything that brings us the living that we can't do without. We just going through the motions on a daily basis, complaining, this work too hard, this I don't know, not thankful at all, and don't realize that by what they espouse regularly, they're proving how unworthy they are for God's gifts. We are running, but we are not getting anywhere because we are just focused on the task, the brick. We are not connected to the cathedral we are building. And we are building a cathedral. Look at the people of Singapore. They built a cathedral, so much so Singapore is a first world country today. You see, if people were to do it themselves, they wouldn't. They had a strong leader who had to tell them what to do. Because when you leave people to do what they should be doing, you find out they're not interested in doing what they should be doing simply because they could get away with it. And then they blame somebody for not making progress. Folks, your purpose in life is your cathedral. It is the vision that makes the grind meaningful. Let's break it down in relation to our current Prime Minister. Let's look at the purpose compass. What is his cathedral? From day one, Dickon Mitchell articulated a clear, compelling purpose. It wasn't just fix roads or improve the economy. His stated cathedral was nothing less than the reimagination of Grenada from the normalized rubbish heap he inherited from the old nastiness and crew. The problem he felt compelled to solve, let's hear it, the stagnation of the old political guard, a sense that Grenada had become complacent. He spoke directly to the youth and the diaspora about a new kind of governance, more transparent, more inclusive, more dynamic. So notwithstanding all the old rubbish talk about victimization, every permanent secretary is still in place, inherited from the era of the old nastiness. And it's no secret. Most, if not all of them, are still loyal to the old nastiness. Yet for all, these gutter rats talk about victimization. His purpose was to break a 25-year political cycle of nonsense, which left too large a swath of our people poor, destitute, and vulnerable. And he is seeking to usher in a new era. But who he wants Grenadians to become? He wants Grenadians to become a modern, resilient, and self-sufficient people. And you cannot become that with handouts. He talks constantly about moving from a mentality of dependence to one of enterprise. It's a powerful, growth-oriented purpose. But it takes work, folks. You're not going to become a person of enterprise stuck on the seed program. Verdict on purpose, man, his verdict is strong. He entered the scene with a cathedral clearly in mind. He wasn't just running for prime minister. He was campaigning to change Grenada's entire political and developmental trajectory. That's a purpose that ignites the fire in people. What about the experimentation or the transformation of infused action? Is he turning lead into gold? This is where it gets interesting. So let's look at his actions through the purpose growth lens. Action 1, the flying prime minister and hands-on approach. According to the brick, constantly traveling, visiting project sites, being highly visible on the ground. But according to the grind mindset, how a traditional politician might see it, this is just PR. It's tiring. It's micromanaging. But what is Dickon Mitchell's purpose-infused mindset? His purpose is reimagination and direct connection. You see, these site visits aren't photo ops. They are a symbolic and practical rejection of a distant, bureaucratic government. The old nastiness was not capable of doing that because his purpose was not no cathedral. His purpose was to organize himself. You see, but Dickon Mitchell is demonstrating that leadership is about being present, being accountable, and being in touch. The action of visiting a farm is infused with the purpose of showing that agriculture is a priority and that the prime minister is a servant, not a little king. Action 2, the Clean Up Grenada initiative. The brick literally picking up trash. The prime minister in boots and gloves, leading national cleanup campaigns. But the grind mindset, this is beneath the office of the prime minister. He should be in boardrooms, not in the gutters. But what is Dickon Mitchell's purpose-infused mindset on that particular scenario? This is a master class in transformation alchemy. He is actually taking the most mundane task, picking up litter, and infusing it with a massive purpose, national pride, and collective responsibility. He's saying the reimagination of Grenada starts with us taking ownership of our environment. If I can get my hands dirty, so too can you. It transforms a community service into a powerful national symbol. Of course, the style of the old leadership was totally different. Give handouts to do the most mundane tasks as a means of entrapping the recipients of these handouts on the vote farm, and thus damaging the maroon spirit of our people. What about challenging the status quo and the old talk? The brick, making blunt, sometimes controversial statements, calling out inefficiencies, and what is generally termed learned helplessness. The grind mindset, this is undiplomatic. It ruffles feathers. It's risky. Those are the people stuck in time. Dickon Mitchell's purpose-infused mindset. Instead, his approach, his purpose is to shatter complacency. These statements are not gaffes. They are deliberate tools to disrupt a comfortable but unproductive political culture. You see, the unproductive political culture was we became so comfortable with it, we don't even realize that all of us would have been relaxing in the gutter just now, led by the biggest gutter rat that ever was given a chance to traverse the corridors of power in this country by the carelessness of so many of you. But you see, Dickon Mitchell is using communication not to soothe, but to provoke the growth and self-reflection he believes the nation needs. But the growth mindset feedback loop, is it working? Here is the real test, folks. Is the purpose driving tangible growth? And is that growth reinforcing the purpose? Guts. Does he have guts? Of course, absolutely. Taking on a political giant took guts. His hands-on style takes guts. He operates with visible courage. What about resilience? He's facing immense challenges: inflation, climate vulnerability, the post-pandemic world, and now war on our doorsteps, with requests from one party in that conflict which can give them an advantage over the other, notwithstanding both parties are our friends. His government has stumbled at times. Come on, which government doesn't stumble? The government of the old nastiness was stumbling for the whole period. But you all get so used to it, you normalize stumbling. But stumbling in the wrong way, because nobody benefited. Because they had no real people development philosophy. The test is whether he treats these as fatal failures or as data points to learn from. You see, the early evidence suggests resilience. But guess what? It's a continuous test. What about ownership? This is a hallmark of his leadership. He owns the cleanup campaign. He owns the narrative of being a new kind of leader who dresses differently. He projects a sense of ownership over both problems and solutions. That is the mettle of a leader. What about wisdom? This is the open question. A critic would argue that some of his actions show the wisdom of a newcomer, not a seasoned statesman. A supporter would say his wisdom lies in understanding that the old way of doing things had to change. The jury is still out on how deep the institutional wisdom runs. After all, he's new to this. Tenacity, unquestionable. The man is a force of energy. His tenacity is what got him elected in the first place, and is what drives his relentless public schedule. Heart. This is his greatest strength, and some might argue a vulnerability. He clearly operates from a place of deep passion and conviction for Grenada. It's not a cold, calculated performance like we used to see the little idiot, the old nastiness. Everything is an act, contrived. You feel the heart of his mission. His spirit is not one moved by status. You can actually feel Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell's humility. It's that plural. So how does Dickon Mitchell measure up? Based on all that I have shared thus far, folks, I have confidence that he is the embodiment of a leader trying to operate from a place of growth by moving with a powerful purpose. He's so focused that it bothers his detractors. No matter how much mud and slime they sling at him from their permanent place of rest in the gutter, he never takes the bait. He's not on a to-do list treadmill. No, he's with every fiber of his being staying true to his intention to build his cathedral of a reimagined Grenada. He's the master at the alchemy of infused action, the transformation of infused action, turning the lead of a community cleanup into the gold of a national movement. But here's the warning. Here's the warning. Purpose is the engine, but governance is the long, hard road. You see, the ultimate measure will be to have this purpose-driven growth translate into concrete, measurable improvements in the lives of Grenadians, in their wallets, in their health care, in their children's future, as a sustainable approach based on Confucius's formula: teach a man to fish and feed him for life. We have to remember that an administration was in place for most of 1995 to 2022, with the exception, of course, of 2008 to 2013 term. And just about everything went to shambles in the country. The healthcare system was never properly attended to. Education became a going through the motion activity, with our young people leaving school not being able to read and write properly, far less to reason and think analytically. Our public service reduced to rack and ruins, not to mention the Royal Grenada Police Force decimated with square pegs in round holes in most, if not all, of the leadership positions. And when you try to shake the pack and make it right, they're talking about victimization. Rubbish. Shake the pack. Mash up the bully. Make it right. Security is too important to have wife and husband and all kind of stupidness going on in our security forces. It has got to be a monumental task to get our people out of that which was normalized for them, both in thinking and in reality. So therein lie the cathedral that Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell is focusing on in order to give the nation a fighting chance at surviving the rigors of the challenging future we are staring at. He has lit the fire of purpose. The question remains, can he sustain the heat to forge lasting growth, or will it just be a brilliant short-lived flash? You see, the people of Grenada will determine that. When the next election comes around, we will see if Grenadians are interested in sustainable growth, or quick fixes they grew so accustomed to, while they allow thieves to run amok, posing as leaders and throwing crumbs for them. You see, for now, on the scale of purpose and growth, Dickon Mitchell doesn't just measure up. He forces us to take the measurement. And in politics, that in itself is a revolutionary act. Folks, our theme for today's program is everything we do comes from a place of growth when we move with purpose. We're coming back with a lot more, folks. So hold on to your seats.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
To Summer Special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wunderbar, wunderbar, as the Germans would say. Wonderful, wonderful. So, folks, we're back. For those of you just joining, I'd like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. As soon as you come in the room, do the honorable thing, hit that share button, and come on, let's get some more people in the room. What can we learn from Dickon Mitchell when it comes to staying focused and not being taken off course by the distractions of detractors in the local Grenadian sphere? I want us to channel our energy to break down the lessons in unwavering focus that we can learn from Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell. Let's talk about the number one dream killer, the ultimate growth stunter. What do you think that is, folks? The noise. Noise. And just where is this noise coming from? Sore losers who just could not measure up. Never mind how long they were around the precincts of power and failed each time. You see, politics is about people and their collective development. Unfortunately, we were not so fortunate here in Grenada to have had an administration led by an individual who was presented with the best opportunities on 3 occasions to advance this nation's business and take all of us to the promised land. But because he was so stuck on self-aggrandizement, self-glorification, our entire nation ended up poorer for it. On 3 occasions, full mandates. The same cannot be said about him and his enablers. It's so sad, folks. 3 occasions and vaunted power, instead of using the absolute mandate to leave us with probably the best healthcare system in the country, in the Caribbean. Bumping shoulders with the best in the world. Oh no. How could you have a leading medical university on the world stage in your country, and your hospital or your health facilities in tatters? That's an indictment. Folks, when I tell you this man and all the teams that he led over the period 1995 to 2022, for the most part, should be rounded up and every Saturday given a public flogging. You think his joke I'd be making? But you see, when people cannot think, they cannot understand where I'm coming from. What about these critics and the naysayers? You see, the folks on the sidelines who have neither laid a brick but are absolute experts in telling the cathedral builders that your cathedral is crooked. We see it everywhere. Everywhere. In politics, in business, in our own lives. And the local Grenadian political sphere, boy, it's a master class in noise. Noise from the lolly drain constantly. Constantly. So how does Dickon Mitchell, a man who walked into the hurricane of scrutiny and expectation, not just survive, but seemingly thrive amid the chaos? What can we learn from him about staying locked on target? You see, the guy knows who he is. He's comfortable with who he is. When he looks so, and he looks so, and he looks back, and he looks forward, he can see that he has made tremendous progress in his life. Growth he's not allergic to. He got rid of his weaknesses and continues in that act. So whenever weaknesses come up, bam, they must be eliminated. And that's how you grow. You see, he anchors himself in a purpose so loud, it drowns out the critics, much to their indignation and annoyance. This is the foundational rule. Dickon Mitchell didn't just have a plan, he had a mission. Reimagine Grenada. That's a powerful, resonant purpose. The detractors' noise. He's just doing PR stunts, picking up trashes beneath the PM. He's too blunt when he speaks. But what is Dickon Mitchell's anchor? His purpose isn't to win a popularity contest or please the old guard. His purpose is to transform. When your why is that loud, the noise of your detractors becomes background static. You know, those of us old enough to remember when radio stations used to break down, you used to just hear static. When you put it on, shh, right. That's how these detractors sound to him. You don't have time to rebut every critic when you're busy building a cathedral. Hell no. I want to know what your takeaway is. But let me tell you what your takeaway should be. Your purpose must be your North Star. Write it down. Say it out loud every morning. You got to make it so vivid and compelling that when the noise comes, folks, when the noise comes, and it will, trust me, you can simply point to your purpose and say, that is what I am building. Your opinion doesn't change my blueprint. What's your lesson 2? You see, PM Dickon Mitchell teaches us that action is the antidote to criticism. Our current Prime Minister's strategy is profoundly simple. Simple just like his humility. He's always in motion. The Flying Prime Minister isn't just a nickname. Funny enough, folks, it has become a strategic shield. By constantly being on the ground, launching initiatives, and being visibly active, he does 2 things. He controls the narrative. He's not sitting in an office waiting for the news cycle to attack him. He's the news cycle. He gives the public something new to talk about, a new project, a new visit, a new policy direction, a new outfit. He does not look like the slave that thieved the master's clothes. He looks like a liberated mind. You see, he has no time to obsess over detractors. You cannot be paralyzed by a negative Facebook comment or a talk radio rant when you're literally wearing boots and cleaning a drain. Action creates momentum, and momentum is the kryptonite to distraction. Interestingly, the people who are talking, criticizing, and keeping all the noise about the PM, listen to me carefully, folks, are mostly failures of our society. Go check them out. Remember, I have an analytical head. Go check them out. They are mostly failures of our society. Their lives were never meant to follow a trajectory of success because they received a hop onto the breakdown jitney without any qualification, and while they remain stuck in just laying bricks, nothing of value ever resulted. What should be your takeaway here, folks? When you feel the weight of criticism starting to pull you down, move, shift, take action. Work on your project. Make that call. Write that proposal. Let your progress be your primary retort. A moving target is much harder to hit. But let's look at our 3rd lesson. Use the noise as fuel, not an obstacle. This is an advanced level tactic, and Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell uses it masterfully. He doesn't just ignore the noise. He sometimes uses it to reinforce his core message. The detractor's noise, he's disrespecting tradition. He's too aggressive. What tradition? And how did this tradition work for us again? Work with me now, folks. What tradition and how did it work for us over the years? You see, Dickon Mitchell's reframe. He doesn't deny it. He leans in. He frames this so-called aggression as the necessary urgency needed to break a 25-year cycle of inferiorism and complacency. The criticism becomes proof that he is doing exactly what he promised, disrupting the status quo, which the old dinosaurs are upset about, and the mostly youthful population seem attracted to and well pleased by. He's essentially saying, of course, the old system doesn't like me. I am here to change it. Their dislike is a validation of my mission. What should be your takeaway? Can you reframe the criticism? If someone calls you reckless, can you see that as evidence that you're being bold? If they call you unrealistic, does that mean you're being a visionary? Don't just absorb the attack, analyze it. If it's baseless, throw it, discard it. But if it touches a nerve, see if it highlights a strength that you can own and amplify exponentially. But the fourth lesson we can learn from Dickon Mitchell: build your own chorus, the power of direct connection. Be happy to dance to your own music if you have to. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell understands a crucial truth. You can't win over your detractors if you spend all your time debating them. So he bypasses them entirely. His hands-on, direct-to-people style, the cleanup campaigns, the community visits, it's just about service. Folks, it's about building a new loyal chorus whose voices are louder than the detractors from the gutter. He's creating his own feedback loop. He doesn't need to be validated by traditional political commentators. When he's getting direct validation from the people painting a wall with him or seeing a fixed road in their community. So what should be your takeaway? Stop trying to convince your critics. You're wasting time. Instead, pour your energy into the people who believe in your mission. Serve your customers if you're working somewhere that serves customers. Nurture your team. Engage your true community. Build your own choir. And let their song be the one you listen to. Your focus should be on your supporters, not your saboteurs, not your detractors, and certainly not anyone who calls you names. You see, you have to develop your unshakable focus playbook. So here is the Dickon Mitchell playbook for staying focused in a storm of constant noise from our lolly drains. Your purpose, folks, is your fortress. Build it so strong that no criticism can breach its walls. Be a shark. Keep moving. Constant visible action makes you the author of your story and leaves no time for self-doubt. Transform the attack. Turn their arrows into your fuel. Let their criticism define them and your response define you. Nurture your base. Ignore your foes and your enemies. You see, the applause of your true supporters will always drown out the heckling from the failures of the gutter. Yes, those who occupy the cheap seats in the theater of life. We are seeing that all too often, to the point where the failed bullies are now turning around and referring to those who stand guard to protect this Dickon Mitchell administration as bullies. Stupid. Dickon Mitchell teaches us that focus isn't about having a quiet environment. It's about having an undeniable purpose that commands your attention more than any detractor ever could. Stop listening to the people booing from the stands. Some of them skeff in to get inside. They couldn't afford to pay. They are the ones that behave loudest in the stands. Your job isn't to be a spectator in their game. Your job is to be the architect of your site, building your cathedral, one purposeful brick at a time. All of us should be encouraged to now go out and build, because we have a leader who is an example of what focus can build. See, everything we do comes from a place of growth whenever we move with purpose. Folks, we take a last break and we come back to our fourth and final segment. Continue to stay tuned. In the meantime, hit that share button. Some of you just joining. Hit that share button and let's get people in, because you know the last segment is going to be fiery. So let's get our groove on here, folks. Let's get our groove on.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
To Summer Special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Right. So this is our final segment, folks. I want to repeat for emphasis the growth mindset feedback loop. Action with purpose leads to tangible growth. And that growth, it reinforces your purpose. It becomes a self-feeding cycle of awareness. It becomes a self-feeding cycle of awesomeness. So let's break down growth. GROWTH. It's an acronym because I love good acronyms. Did tell you G, guts. Folks, purpose gives you the guts to do the hard things. You actually stop avoiding discomfort because you see its value. Are resilience. When you fail, and you will, you don't see it as proof that you're a failure. You see it as data. Okay, that brick didn't fit. Let me try a different one. Your purpose is the cathedral, remember? A few broken bricks won't stop the construction. Or ownership. You stop blaming your boss. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop blaming your luck or lack thereof. You take 100% ownership because you are the architect of your life. W, wisdom. You start to learn from everything. A boring meeting teaches you about ineffective communication. A tough conversation teaches you about boundaries. You are constantly mining wisdom from your experiences. The T stands for tenacity. You develop a deep, unshakable stick-to-itiveness because your goal is so much bigger than your momentary feelings. The H is for heart. You operate from a place of passion and conviction, not fear and obligation. So you see, your work becomes an expression of who you are. This is not a joke, folks. This is serious business. So this loop is powerful. The more you infuse your actions with purpose, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more capable you become of pursuing an even bigger purpose. It's actually a virtuous cycle that launches you into a league of your own. Are you surprised that Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell is in a league of his own? I am not. Well, what's your challenge? Folks, your challenge, should you choose to accept it, define your cathedral. Before the day is out, write down one sentence. My purpose is to solve X problem while becoming a more Y quality person. Get it out of your head and onto paper. For those of you who are looking for self-development, I think the best thing for me to do is to share this here with you so that you have it to remember it yourself and take action. Alchemize, which is transform one thing tomorrow. Pick one task you dread tomorrow. Your workout, a report, a proposal, a meeting. Now, before you do it, write down how this task serves your purpose and what skill or trait it helps you develop. Then go do it with that new mindset. That's it. Just one sentence and one transformed action. That's how you start. That is how you turn lead into gold. That is how you ensure that everything you do comes from a place of growth, because you are moving with unshakable purpose. I want you to remember, folks, the world is full of people just laying bricks. Be the cathedral builder. Operate from your purpose and watch as your entire life become a masterpiece of growth. You are powerful. You are purpose-driven. And you are built for this. Now, all of us must go out and ignite our week. Put some fire into our week, and you see how much more purpose-driven you become, how much more fulfilled you feel, and fulfilling your life would become. Folks, we've been seeing this much too often. On a wider scale in the Caribbean, our people love to talk bad about each other. But none of the islands doing better than the other, really. Jamaica is fighting crime like it's a civil war. Trinidad drowning in drugs, gang warfare, corruption, and political games. Barbados buried under debt. I'm talking about Haiti, betrayed by generations. Guyana rich in oil, but the people still poor. St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada, all struggling under taxes, loans, and false promises from generations of poor leaders. Every island in the chain seemed to be chained to the same system, just painted in different flags. We laugh at each other's pain. We mock instead of unite. We celebrate independence while still begging for help from the same hands that hold the leash and the collar around our necks. Maybe we don't hate poverty as much as we say we do. Maybe we've just learned to live with it, to dress it up with music, flags, and festivals, and don't talk about alcohol. Maybe we love the comfort of the cage, because freedom means responsibility, and responsibility means change. And we ain't want to change. Look around. The same issues echo across the seas. Poverty, corruption, inflation, broken schools, broken systems, poor health care, poor security, poorly socialized people. If we truly wanted better, we'd stop fighting each other and start fighting the system that profits from our pain. Because if poverty, crime, and corruption were really our enemies, we would unite to destroy them, not each other. Until then, we're not fighting for change. We're becoming the system itself. We're absorbed by that system, which is the enemy. We cannot be truly free until we change our mindset. I'm sure you will agree with me that we need to free the islands, but we can only do so with a changed mindset of our people. And change requires effort. Folks, a person who strives after goodness in all his acts, you'd be surprised, is bound to come to ruin, since there are so many people who are just not good. Because the world does not reward pure virtue anymore. It devours it. To survive among wolves, you cannot be a lamb. In a world ruled by ambition, deception, fakeness, and fear, goodness alone is a weakness, not a weapon. The honest man is the easiest to betray, the kindest heart, the quickest to break. That doesn't mean you must become evil, but you must understand it. You must master the game others play in the shadows. Because if you refuse to fight back, the world won't spare you for being noble. Strategy, cunning, and power, these are not sins when survival is the prize. So ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as righteous and ruined, or strong and still standing? You have a choice. You have a choice. But just because you don't fight back, folks, just because you don't add to the toxicity between you and another person or other people, it doesn't mean that you're compliant. Oh, no. You see, a lot of people think that if you don't respond, if you don't fight back, if you don't get it, it kind of means that you're in agreement. It doesn't mean that at all. All it means is that you're the bigger person. What are you fighting back for? If you believe in God, you believe that God is in your corner. God is guiding the situation to benefit you, especially if you are the one that was wronged. What are you getting involved for? Why do you have to make sly remarks? Ego, Why? Either you believe that God got you or you don't. There is no one in between. There's no gray area, black or white. That's it. That is one of the few situations that's black or white. So what it tells me When you get involved with toxic behaviors, that you're somewhat toxic yourself, it's a hard pill to swallow. I know it. I didn't do this. I didn't start this. I didn't want this. I didn't need this. I tried to take the higher road. I'll try to be a better person, all that good stuff. But your response wipes all that away. So if you're going to take the higher road, stay there. Don't come down. Words are words. They become terrible when you put your negative emotions to them. Take the emotions out, and the words have absolutely no effect. None whatsoever. Ask Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell how he has been able to master this. It takes time to practice. And then one day you wake up and you realize, hey, this is integral to me. I really don't give two hoots anymore. Of course. According to psychology, folks, there are 5 characteristics that reveal you're dealing with a genuinely good person. Check them to see if any of them relate to you. You see, this person is almost always alone. Not because they hate people, but because they've learned peace is quieter when it's just them alone. This person tends to think deeply about life, about people, about everything they've ever lost. They can read you faster than you think. One look, one word, and they already know your intentions. They don't trust easily. They've seen too many masks, too many promises that turned into lies. And most importantly, this person has suffered more than you could imagine. But instead of becoming bitter, they became kind. Instead of revenge, they choose silence. If you see yourself in this person, hone those qualities, because you're on the right track. Folks, it is more than interesting that sometimes God will hide your strength in plain sight. And you will find oftentimes the strongest people are sometimes the most gentle. Sometimes the smartest people in the group happen to be the quietest. And then you will discover the wealthiest people are oftentimes the most simple. Sometimes the happiest people in the world are usually those who are not trying to post images of themselves, trying to fake like they are happy. Because usually they are the ones that value privacy. Folks, in case you don't know, privacy is a superpower. Private people could care less what's going on out in the media or social media. Oh no. They're just living their lives, doing what they do in quietness and happiness. That's the power of privacy. Let me just tell you this. If you've got to flaunt your power, show off your wealth, prove your strength, the fact of the matter is you are not as strong as you think. Why do I say that? Because you don't have to be seen to be significant. You do not have to be seen to be significant. Folks, try not to forget that, because you really don't. Significance don't mean loud. You don't have to be seen to be significant. Goodly folks, as we cross over the 3-year mark of any election term, we have to expect polls done by one organization or another. In fact, George Bush Sr. once said, I don't worry about polls. I am not a great devotee of polls. I think sometimes they're about as useful as a cat's whiskers for picking which way the mouse is going to run. He's also on record as having said, A poll is something they use to hang politicians by. You see, because of how the world has become, where wrong has been normalized as right and right as wrong, etc., etc., we can no longer go by anything pollsters tell us anymore. The science does not add up anymore. Folks, we have to understand that when we visit a doctor, we have to answer all his or her questions relating to how we feel and the symptoms we are experiencing. When the doctor is satisfied, he gives it a name. If we, the patients, were medically trained like the doctor, we would have been able to give how and what we feel that very same name to. It is similar to pollsters. They do not necessarily predict on their own. They feel the temperature, the mood, and even have talks with a select cross-section or number of members of communities to ascertain the direction things are trending towards. We give them the information they use to arrive at their conclusion. In the Caribbean, we have to be careful not to give them too much credit, which they frankly do not deserve, especially in light of who pays the piper usually calls the tune. Folks, Peter Wickham is adjudged the best we have in these parts within the Eastern Caribbean. Of course, he's regarded as having learnt from the best, the late Dr. Patrick Emmanuel. In some circles, though, he may be regarded as a push pollster. What do push pollsters do? By using timing and all the data collected, he is regarded as one who might push people in a certain direction, push unsuspecting voters in the direction they are contracted to get favorable outcomes for. This has the effect of causing some voters to surrender and abstain from voting, depending on the side that is falsely projected to win. Be that as it may, Wickham's polls never give a hint, far less any indication, whether overtly or covertly, who his likely client is. That, we can say, is the professional nature of the man reflective of whom he is reputed to have learnt from. We have to be careful of any gun for hire who perhaps, having been kept at a distance by our discerning leaders, the current discerning leaders of Grenada, do not get sour and attempt to do a hatchet job on that entity in order to get even and satisfy their bruised ego. We don't have to look too far to see a specific few on social media vilifying and maligning Grenada's current leadership just because they are adjudged to be irrelevant and totally unworthy to be included, as they bring absolutely no credibility to the table. So our discerning leaders, the current ones, just keep them away. And you know what is interesting? Their ego will not allow them to keep quiet, because who is Dickon Mitchell to sideline me? You see, time is proving to be the best friend of our current leadership, who is as focused as they come. When you stay focused, no attempt to push voters in any direction will succeed. For the only poll that really matters is the poll on the day of general election, whatever it is called. Some people are just great to stay away from. Discernment causes one to make such decision, and the offended always go out of their way to prove them correct for staying away from them. Folks, the world still has people who would rather fail with honor than succeed by fraud. and therefore would not be seen in the company of anyone who attempts to extort them. Many among us who are known to be so self-absorbed that they effortlessly expose themselves as guns for hire just to get even. Ego is really a powerfully destructive thing that can strip one of his or her soul and immobilize any inclination towards professionalism. Just reading the details in the last poll, some things are amiss. It reeks of a commencement of normalizing nonsense in that realm. You see, taking advantage of people's tendencies towards headline consumption is disingenuous at the least. That is where the hope is that people will gravitate to where they are pulled all from now, thus giving the piper who calls the tune his or her rightful satisfaction for money spent. Hence the reason Grenadians are warned continuously to stay focused. Remain with your eyes opened and totally focused on the prize. Last election, you voted for your children's future, one that is sustainable, not one that gives them false hope through a mess of pottage on a monthly basis, where they spent 10 to 15 years trapped at $800 per month, not being of any good use to themselves into their 30s and 40s. Such people are now realizing that they were taken for fools. They surrendered to be, while they propped up a system run by cons that proved no darn good to them and for them. There is still work to be done to shore up the new system that is fashioned along Confucius's philosophy of teaching a man to fish and feeding him for life. A word to the wise is always more than sufficient. By the way, if we really have a desire to get the outcome we know we deserve in this short life, we need to actually follow the strong example of our beloved Prime Minister, the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, in his adherence to the admonition of George Bernard Shaw, who said, "I learned long ago never to wrestle with a pig. You get dirty, and besides, the pig loves it." Folks, everything you do comes from a place of growth when you move with purpose. I am in, I am out, and I'm gone. Thanks for joining. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time, same place, for more extraordinary programming. Until then, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant, stay lifted, and stay focused. Just before we leave, let's offer a prayer for the people of Jamaica. We also have something that has probably never happened in the past. 24 students or people, on government scholarships in Jamaica were actually repatriated back to home by this responsible government, headed by a Prime Minister who understands the value of education and the value of life. And therefore, these students were brought back home, because that hurricane that is headed towards Jamaica, we need to pray for a miracle that the people really batten down properly to weather that storm that is showing a trajectory of passing right through the middle of the entire island. Let's offer the people of Jamaica up to the hands of the God of our universe for protection at this time. You can find me on Facebook, folks, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Just type in my name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, and share. And be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as I deliver them to you. Straight up. Have a great week as we now head towards Christmas, which is a lot of us, it's our favorite time of the year. So let's do it, folks. It's all good. So take care of your wonderful selves. And thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for your comments today. Take great care.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This has been Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
So summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about. about and can cause great damage.